This is Demon Dream, also known as Trakena on Discord, and I should formally apologize for not putting out a video sooner. My life has been very hectic, and plus I don't have a set video schedule. I have things I want to do, but I'm not sure how to organize them, so I'm in the process of doing that. At the same time, life has decided to throw a huge curveball. Specifically homelessness. So it's been difficult, but that is not going to stop me from doing what I can in the name of one of my favorite subjects, my religion. So, for lack of ideas, there were a few things I wanted to read, because as a devotee of Nisaba, the scribe goddess, one of my favorite methods of worship is writing. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing for the past several weeks, and for most of my time as a devotee. There are a few gods and goddesses in particular that have struck me during times of trial and tribulation, and I just wanted to read off some of the stuff I've done for them, if the motorcycles outside will not interrupt me every 5 seconds. Okay. Lady Ninshubur, good minister of the Inanna, lady of Inanna's command, truly you are loyal. Ninshubur, with skirts hiked up about her knees, you run with the words of the seven on your lips. The gods have bestowed divine powers upon you. They have given you divine jewels. Ninshubur, the lapis lazuli scepter is in your hand, and you march before Father Anu with the sure feet of a strutting bull. Without your blessing, no man could hope to wield it. You man the prow of the boat, stag of the Abzu. You guard the flank of the Lady of Slaughter as she departs with the stolen May. You destroy the enemy, you soothe the supplicant, you speak to the hearts of gods and men. Linen-clad goddess of Inanna's right hand, you are worthy of praise and renown. Lady Ninshubur, good woman who loves the impudent dead goddess, truly you are a paragon of loyalty. Lady, there are houses of lamentation in your name, and for good reason. You remembered the instructions of the Maiden of Heaven, and followed them without hesitation. You set up a wailing in the burial mounds, shrieking and sobbing for your lady lost. You beat the drum of lamentation in the sanctuaries, battered it like the doors of the underworld would shatter before the force of your grief. Dressed in simple rags, you clawed at the dust of the street. You tore your robe, you tore at your hair, you tore at your flesh like a woman disconsolate. You slashed at your eyes until the blood ran like tears, rent your ears like the news would poison you. You took a razor to your skin where no one would see, and the scars of these dark days linger on your thighs. Alone, unwashed, bruised in mind and body, clad in dust and scraps of cloth, you set foot in the pure sanctuaries of the gods. You made pilgrimage, crying until your throat betrayed you, battering the drum until your bones vibrated with the strain. You made pilgrimage alone, but for the love of your lady lost to you, the memory at once warming and chilling. You walked the road of the temples, one foot in front of the other, to collapse at the roots of the great dioceses and beg. They refused you. Again, they refused you. You walked, you wept, you forged on with the force of your burning wounds and planted road-stained feet in the pure halls, eyes afire and fingernails dark with your own blood. You beat the drums, and your voice rang like the taut bullskins. She is your gold, she is your lapis lazuli, she is your strong cedar, and she must not die in the underworld. Lady Ninshubur, through your determination was the Lady Inanna raised, and for your loyalty did she turn the demons from your face. Lady Ninshubur, For your love you are recognized and worthy of respect. May your name resound on the lips of the black-headed ones forever and ever. This one in particular was written in honor of Nin Shubur, who is Inanna's right hand. Nin Shubur over time evolved into the god Papsukal, depending upon the era you're looking at. She served Inanna, and also as a male, she served An, so sometimes it's hard to say what gender she was. And there's also a lot of suspicion about what the nature, the relationship between Nin Shubur and Inanna was. So there's nothing concrete, but I like that as food for thought. Let's see. What else looks like a good one? I do a lot of poetry, not just devotional stuff. But I'm thinking to support the theme that I have going on this YouTube channel, I should probably stick with the devotional stuff. If you want to hear just regular poetry, by all means comment below. Let's see. This is one I wrote a long time ago when I was trying to get a grasp of what the afterlife was like, based on reading Inanna's Descent, the death of Enkidu, a few Lamentations. Most of these I found on ETCSL, which I've described in earlier videos. Here in the house of dust, our people wrestle and weep in colorless, shapeless shifts like molting birds. They pad the aged, uncarved stone, worn smooth by patient centuries, and the constant worrying of calloused souls. The door bar is soft with shadow, the fugue of neglect, as the hall ne'er exhumed drinks in lost shades, like gritty clay drinks in blood, and the dripping of some distant cavern chamber brings to mind the endless tapping of some ancient warden's finger in the dark. So, that one was mostly Ereshkigal themed / the House of Dust is one of the many names of the land of the great below, Erkala, the land of no returning, Erset Latari, the land beyond the road of no returning, etc., etc., etc. Let's see. There was one further down. In particular, the goddess I've gone to the most lately is Nanshe. If I recall correctly, she was the goddess of the city of Lagash, and she was a goddess of fishermen, the goddess of birds, and I see a connection there because I'm pretty sure, at least based on some Egyptian art I've seen, I know, different civilization, but bear with me, they caught a lot of birds on the water surface and things like that, so I'm assuming that's where the connection comes from, as a goddess of fishermen, goddess of fish, goddess of birds. So, she's the goddess of the fisheries, and, people who work on the ocean, in the canals, in the rivers. She's the lady of social justice. She looks after the orphan, the widow, the destitute, people who have fallen on hard times. She's the lady of compassion. She looks after the debt slave, the homeless. She interprets dreams. That's a lot of what happens on the New Year's festival. during the New Year's festival, the people would go to Nanshe's temple, and Nisaba was in charge of recording names and organizing the people, the servants of the temple. Haya, her husband, was in charge of recording whether they've done good this year or bad this year. And Nanshe was in charge of inspecting. Let's see. So basically have you been naughty or nice this year, except without Santa Claus? Let's see, what else? Nanshe's symbol was, generally speaking, the pelican, or some form of seabird. Yeah, that's off the top of my head. There's also something you'll find a lot of in pagan circles called Unverified Personal Gnosis, UPG, which is something that supplicants and devotees feel about their gods and their goddesses, and they treat as correct, but there's no historical backing for it. So, for example, my personal goddess, Nisaba, she's the goddess of the written word. So, in my mind, my unverified personal gnosis, that means she's also connected to computer programming, the art of information technology, except in the modern world, as opposed to just writing words on clay tablets. So, this next prayer, if you will, has a lot of unverified personal gnosis, but it is rooted a little bit in stuff I've read about Nanshe, specifically Nanshe and the birds, Nanshe and the fishes, the Balbal to Nanshe, and her temple hymn. Alright, that said, Nanshe who laughs in the foam of the flash flood and sings with the meadowlark, lady whose blessings lay thick on the ground like fresh river silt, you are worthy of praise. The man who stands at the corner with a cardboard sign is under your wing. The woman crying in her car and shaking beneath the weight of bruises is under your wing. You hear the child whose voice is lost to terror and guide the steps of the lost soul to your threshold. Lady Nanshe, lady of plenty, long have the great mountain temples been silent, but your priests have never stopped singing. Their voices are sweet like warm honey, and their feathers flash jewel-bright in the sun. Nanshe, lady of compassion, long have the offering tables gone cold beneath muffling dust, yet the sign of the fish still flashes brightly on the breast and belongings of those dedicated to kindness. Good woman, fair lady of justice, whose eye is on the market stall, deceit and foul play find no quarter in your hall. The word of your mouth is honest, the word of your mouth is just, the word of your mouth is absolute. Lady who dwells in the bright sea foam and glittering river, you see to the hearts of men as though they are split reeds and know the measure of their souls. Lady Nanshe who delights in bird song and the flash of fish scales, whose favor fills the storehouse to bursting with golden honey and floods the great pots with cool water. Lady whose compassion is an oasis and whose just offense is a crushing wave. The mountain temples are silent, but the touch of your hand lingers. Joy is found in the cool halls of the aquarium. Joy is found in the bright paths of bird sanctuaries. Little fingers find laughter in the victory of the catch. Wrinkled fingers find peace in the long wait on the lake. Birdhouses and bird baths and bird feeders spring up where people pass, like mushrooms in the wake of cooling rain. And for what reason other than kindness? What reason than the delight of nature's beauty blessing home and street with trust? Lady who dwells by the river of ordeals, lady who sees the heart, you know the secrets of dreaming men. You unravel the knotted and make confusion plain. You explain the unexplained. You divine the meaning of nightmares and daydreams, and your hand is felt in the art still. Lady Nanshe, whose presence is cool water to a fevered brow, may your name resound on the lips of the black-headed forever and ever. So, that was a piece I did a while back when possessed by the muse, as it were. Lady Nanshe is very important to me considering my situation at the moment. And yeah, I've done more work than is typical of me in her name. Let's see, it's about 16 minutes, so I think I can fit in one more. Let's go to my massive folder of various writing things. Let's see. Maybe. Yes, okay. Considering the running theme I seem to have going with Ninshubur, Mourning Inanna, Nanshe, the lady who looks after the unfortunate. A while back, earlier than all of these, I was looking over lamentations. Specifically, there was a lamentation written for my lady Nisaba, and one of her temples had been destroyed, and so one of the ancient scribes had written about it. I read it over, but my modern taste for poetry kind of niggled at the back of my brain and said, you know, that doesn't read quite... I mean, it's a nice work, but do you think we could put a modern spin on it? And the answer was yes. So, this is what happened. I can put a link to the original version in the description below, but I will be reading to you today my spin on it. Also, for the record, vocab words. Vocab words are important. The Idaba is the Sumerian word for the House of Wisdom, which is the school, basically. Idaba, school, roughly the same. Bear with me. The Idaba lies broken, cracked open, a bleached skull on the sand. Weeds tremble in the still air, sky black with bile, green with disgust. How long has the watery moonlight trembled over crumbling bricks? How long has the whispering breeze halted, mute with grief, at the threshold? They turn away. The light, it turns away. The wind, it turns away. And the lingering scent of cedar abandons empty halls, like breath abandoning the vaulted arches of shattered ribs. Dust settles heavily at the door, where once broad shoulders lingered. Shadows now brush the frame, where once paused calloused fingers. The wealth of the Idaba is mere crumbled clay in the shadow of the walls, where even the moonlight dare not encroach. This is sacred ground. This is mourning ground. This is barren ground. In the hills, the moonlight shudders. In the hills, the cold wind moans. The stately cedar trees are hung with black and whisper like lost children. Where is the lady of the house? Where is the lady of the house? She is weeping in the moonlight. She is wailing with the wind. In the cold brilliance of night, the wreck of her house is a gutted thing. In the blue gloaming of night, the hollow of her eyes speaks volumes. The stark light of dawn blazes across the horizon, the green horizon where clouds churn black like river silt. Graven tablets lie broken on the floor. In the House of Wisdom, the lady has cried herself to silence. I had a lot of strong feelings going into that one, especially considering the entirety of the civilization that I honor in what I do, the gods, the goddesses that I worship. They're in a rather similar situation to me. Everything they knew, everything they loved, it's broken rubble that ages past what they knew and what they loved has been dug up and poured over, taken halfway across the world, and barely understood. Their people are coming back after a fashion, but it will never be the same as what they knew. And they're immigrants in their own ways. And I think there's a certain amount of grieving that goes into realizing that your entire civilization is dead. At least I would think so. But I like to think that the efforts we go to in the modern day to bring them back, be it through pure scientific archaeology to the pagan movements, I like to think that this brings them some form of comfort. So, the last thing I plan on reading today is, it personally amuses me because over the entirety of my life, I have been exposed to Christianity. And in fact, I distinctly remember one time, I think just as a casual question, my dad, who is an atheist, asked me if I knew the Lord's Prayer. I said no. And he was kind of shocked at this, because when he was in school, his teacher made sure they knew. I mean, this wasn't Sunday school, this was just straight public school. Their teacher made sure they knew the Lord's Prayer. So he found that kind of hilarious, and he wanted to be sure that I knew it, because Christianity is a major underpinning to our culture in America. So I was thinking about that, and I thought to myself, there are no short, brief, general, good for anything prayers in Sumerian tradition. I mean, there are a lot of lamentations and specific prayers and things like that, but there's nothing really equivalent to the Lord's Prayer. And wouldn't it be hilarious if a pagan tradition sort of drew influence from a Christian theme, as the Christians have done throughout the ages to incorporate pagans into their religion as they tried to convert them. The tradition of pagan gods becoming saints and things like that, this is not news. So I took the Lord's Prayer, and partially for my own amusement, partially just to see if I could do it, I turned it into a Sumerian prayer. And I will leave it here for your listening pleasure to do with as you see fit. An and Ki, all the host of Anunnaki, it is sweet to praise you. You decree the sacred measures, and your word is law throughout heaven and earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and look on us with a kindly eye as we sprinkle the water of the lustration rites. Shield us from the Utuku demon, decree for us a better fate. Yours are the line, the rod, and the date palm mace. yours is the horned crown. Anunnaki, you stride forth like great wild bulls, and speak with the strength of young lions bellowing across the steppes. Yours are the black-headed ones. Your praise is sweet in our mouths forever and ever. All right. So, that concludes the things I sort of improvised to read today as content for my channel. Because I don't have much of an idea of what other people would want to listen to, so I'm sort of just throwing out things that I do, things that I like, questions that I've seen other people be asked. But, yeah, by no means am I going to let this channel drop. This is a project, and I am going through it because this is something I think needs to be done. Whether it's just personal ambition or something that I think needs to be done in the name of exposure, I don't know. But I intend to see this through. So that being said, I will definitely attempt to make videos more frequently, be it just things I have written or subjects that have come up. I tend to write on my Tumblr more frequently than I do on YouTube. I may or may not link that in the description, it depends. But at this point I'm just rambling, so I think I'll leave it here before I get to the 30-minute mark. And if you have any questions or comments, I also take requests. On multiple occasions, I have written prayers for other people who needed assistance. So, I guess bye-bye for now, and I will get back to you when I have more content. Bye!